Alright, so this is, I guess, hi, my name is Koalamala. Um, as I stream every few days a week on twitch.tv, Koalamala21. Um, I wanted to make this little video in the hopes that any streamer that sees this, VTuber or FleshTuber, sees this and is able to learn something from it. Something I see a lot of, especially on Twitter, is people confused and, how should I put this, upset that they can't gain a massive following quickly. And I can kind of understand the frustration, right? Seeing these people who are able to blow up in just a few months, yet there's people who have been streaming for years and they still average, they, yet they're still, they've been streaming for years, yet they still average like 3 viewers. Like, I get it. I understand that it can be frustrating, right? But streaming is an extremely saturated and crowded industry. There are millions, if not billions, probably more than billions of different people creating profiles, streaming, making content. It's the same on YouTube too with content creation. There are there are more people making channels and making content, new people coming in pretty much every day. I don't have a statistic to back that up, but with how many people there are and how prevalent it is in the current, I guess, era, there are new people coming into the scene very, very frequently. It is a very saturated, it is a very saturated industry. And on social media, when I see people upset that they can't grow quickly, it it irks me because I've seen streamers who have been streaming for years, and I do mean years, both VTubers and FleshTubers that have been streaming for years and still only average like 3 viewers, and yet they keep streaming because they are dedicated. And I want this video to be both a reminder and, I guess, a sort of motivational thing to help people understand. Because of how saturated streaming has become, content creation in general, actually, but we're going to stay on the topic of streaming. Because of how saturated the industry has become, oftentimes it does take some level of luck to blow up and become big. It just does. However, while luck can play a pretty big part in being seen and blowing up, most people who get lucky, those people spent years prior to blowing up grinding, doing the stream grind, just trying to make content. They spent years doing it. They didn't just show up one day and immediately blow up. They spent time. Again, years before blowing up. And that's if they blow up at all. You cannot. Again, I do understand seeing all these people blow up and getting the impression that if you just make content and make good content, you'll blow up. That's not how this works. That's not how the industry works. It's not. As much as people would love it for it to be, that's not how it works. It is far too saturated for it to work like that. I think I've watched a YouTuber who made a really good point that there are people on YouTube who have channels where they make really good, well edited, well researched videos, yet they only have like 10 subscribers. And yet they're really good videos, but because the algorithm doesn't grab onto their videos, they don't really pop off, right? They may grow in some subscribers by people happening across it through suggestion, but unless their video blows up and it goes on the recommended, it can just fly under the radar. And it's the same thing with streaming. And it's even more prevalent in streaming because unless you have a VODs channel, there's no like record of you streaming. So there's nothing for people to randomly stumble upon at any time and then come be like, "Oh wow, I kind of like this person's content. Let's go see what else they do." Unless you have a VODs channel and are posting your stream VODs, you that unlike in YouTube where that can happen, that can't happen with streaming unless you have a VODs channel and you're posting your stream VODs, which can increase your chance, but the increase is not that big. Again, even if you work yourself to the bone, which you shouldn't. I gotta reiterate, you shouldn't. But even if you do, there is no guarantee that you'll go anywhere. That's just how it is, and it sucks. It can suck. It can feel demoralizing. It can, but this is a struggle that every streamer has gone to. No streamer showed up day one and immediately blew up. No one. I don't care what anyone says. No one had that happen. Sure, people may show up and immediately get a small following, but no one gets a big following immediately unless they are a pre-established celebrity that decides to stream, or unless they have a pre-established audience from another place or source. It just doesn't happen. It doesn't. So if I want people to take anything away from this, it's that you have to understand that you could even work years and you never blow up. That's just how it is. Like I'm sorry to hit you with the cold water, but that's just how it is. You can't do anything about that. And the only thing you can do is maintain consistency and try and figure out what makes you unique. I'd say, for instance, what I do, but I don't do anything unique. I stream because I want to. It's something for me to do with my life, and because I get to talk to people, which I don't normally get to do. Not because I'm incapable of it. My friends IRL just typically have schedules where we can't really go out and do stuff. One of my friends is. They're all busy with their own lives, so we don't really get to go out and do anything. Streaming was my solution to being able to have people to talk to. That's all I want out of streaming. That's it. I don't care about blowing up. If I blow up, cool. I'll try and make the most of it, but it's not even the career I want to go with. I want to be a child. I want to be a therapist, a talk therapist for children. Help them through their struggles as a child, like bullying and betrayal and stuff. That's what I want to be. I'm just doing streaming so I have something to do with my life, so I'm not sitting in my room doing nothing. But obviously, there are people who are streaming because they want to try and blow up. And there's nothing wrong with that. There isn't. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But you can't come into this scene and expect to just blow up immediately. Again, it can take. People have streamed. There are people who have streamed for years and still only average like 3 viewers, even after years of streaming. The streaming space is just far too saturated to be able to just come in and expect to blow up immediately, or even after a little bit. Unless you get extremely lucky, it's not going to happen. It's just not. Yes, there are ways you could increase your chances, even if just a little. Biggest one, consistency. Consistency and just being a likable person. You don't have to be a good person. You don't have to be this amazing charitable person. You just have to be a decent human being and make content that perhaps someone out there might find and enjoy. That's it. That's all. And another thing I want to say, streaming, even if it can seem a bit difficult, is the easiest, like, job you can have. I don't care what people say. Yes, trying to get big can take a long time and may never happen. But it is by far the easiest job. Content creation in general is the easiest job you can possibly have. And anyone who says otherwise has never worked an actual job. Or they're delusional. But that's not the point of this video. If there's anything I want people to take away from this video, it's that you need to have the right mindset. Obviously, there are varying factors to blowing up. There are. Again, at the end of the day, it is technically about luck. Because, again, there are people who have streamed and worked hard at streaming for years and still only average like 10 or less viewers. That's just how it is. And to complain about it is. This is going to sound harsh, but it's asinine. It's completely asinine. Like, streaming space is not a space you can do and just expect to blow up out of nowhere. Especially if you don't do anything that makes you stand out. Because if there's nothing unique about you, then you have an even lesser chance of blowing up. Because what makes you different from any of the other big streamers? To others, you may just seem like someone who's just trying to get big because you saw other people get big. There's nothing that makes you unique. You have to find what makes you unique, what makes you stand out. And hell, sometimes you don't need to stand out. Just being yourself can work. Because maybe you get a group of people who just like you being yourself. They can connect with it. But I will not name names because it was multiple times that I've seen people bring up this and kind of complain. And it just kind of irked me because it it's not even that it like pisses me off. It just makes me wonder if they even understand how the industry works, if they understand how saturated it is. So I guess I just want this to be a video that they or anyone can watch and hopefully understand that at the end of the day, as unfair as it is, the only thing you can do is do your best. And sometimes your best isn't going to be enough. It's just not. And that's just how it is. There's nothing you can do about it. The only thing you can do is make the most of it and just keep pushing forwards. And let's go back to the luck thing. Yes, luck does play a factor. It just does. No matter how hard you work, at the end of the day, you have to get lucky and hope that you get noticed. Or that, say, one of you there's a clip or a VOD of you that really pops off. That's usually how people blow up, is that something happens or they do something that causes them to blow up and get attention. That's just how it is. But in those cases, they got lucky. At the end of the day, you can keep working hard, but at the end of the day, there is luck involved. And you can't control luck. The only thing you can do is increase your chances of luck finding you. I am sure that most streamers are genuinely nice people. I tend to believe that most people are, at some level, able to show kindness, able to show understanding. And yes, it is frustrating. But I guess to segment this, my biggest advice, outside of consistency, my biggest advice that I can give is to just be yourself. This is not, this isn't even advice. This is me telling you what you should do. Be yourself. Do not try and play a caricature. Do not try and be someone you're not just because you think people will like you better. Unless you're just a massive ass, innately just a massive asshole, there is something about you that people will be able to latch onto and connect with you on. It could be because they find you funny. It could be because they find you relatable. It could just be because they find you enjoyable to watch because you're just relaxing or you give them a sense of comfort or anything. There are different and varying reasons. But even then, that requires there to be a connection that can be made in the first place. As a final note, I want to make it clear this is not targeted at anyone. Again, I've seen numerous people complain or whine or just talk about it. And again, it just kind of irked me because this is an extremely saturated industry. And the only thing you can really do is make the most of it and just be yourself. That's the two biggest things you can do is be consistent and be yourself. Nobody likes a fake, not even yourself. Because as soon as you start putting on a mask, as I call it, as soon as you start putting on a mask, being someone you aren't, you'll no longer be enjoying it. Yeah, it'll be nice if the mask gets you a following. But what happens when that mask falls off? What happens when you start to feel like you're being someone you aren't and you're forced to be someone you aren't because you're worried that the people who are following you will leave you? So that's really my biggest advice is be yourself, be consistent, and understand that it takes a lot of work to pop off. And again, you may never pop off. And if you don't, that's just how it is. The only thing you can do is do your best and make the most of it.